Good morning. This is the Blaine's World Podcast, where conversations are worth hearing and seeing. You can watch each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And for more information and past episodes, you can visit my website, which is behindtheblainsworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, coming to you from my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and uplifting stories about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce my guest today, and she is Nancy Reeder. And Nancy, you can wave to all your friends who are watching this. Give them a big wave.
Yes, yes.
Give them a big
I,
wave. There you go. Okay. Now, she mentioned that in 1998, Nancy left the classroom after 22 years teaching elementary grades to be a storyteller with no idea where that would take her. So you were like the youngest classroom teacher ever. You started at the age of 9. Was that it when you started teaching?
yeah, yes.
Okay, yeah, youngest teacher in the district. She became a no storyteller with no ideas where that would take her. From Australia to Thailand and South Korea, and hiking the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Coast Trail. She found stories, even writing a book about her adventures. She's currently the president of the North Carolina Storytellers Guild and also a member of the Asheville Storytelling Circus. So let me ask you if I can then, when you left teaching, what brought that about? Why did you leave teaching?
I was shifting my life. I had I just I ended my marriage at the same time as well, and I was just moving in a different direction. And it all worked out. I didn't know any storytellers at the time, but I knew I had been doing that so much in my teaching, and I actually had become like the storyteller of the school. Kind of sounded funny, but I would tell stories sometimes to other classes as well when I had a free period. So it just seemed to be the right thing to do
What
at
did
that
you
time.
what
That
did
was
you
98.
what did
Yeah.
you teach?
Elementary grades. The longest was kindergarten. That was 13 years. And then I taught fifth grade and uh, third grade and
When
sixth grade. I started out in teaching sixth grade. At that time, that was in the elementary school.
and when you started teaching, when you were teaching, was that what you'd always want to do in terms of as a kid? Had you always wanted to be a teacher?
Since second grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I loved my teacher in second grade, and I said, that's what I'm going to be.
Very
Actually,
cool.
when I was in high school, I wanted to be an astronaut.
Okay.
But at that time, the program wasn't open to women, and but I still wanted to be a teacher, but I always dreamed of that. And in fact, I did start flying at one point in my life and took some flying lessons. But yeah, I've always been an educator.
You
I've
mentioned this
realized that's been
second
my
grade teacher. Did you stay in touch with her after the fact?
uh yes, sort of. I had moved to another school when I started fourth grade, and so I believe at during that year I was telling her I'm going to be a teacher like you. I just sensed that. But yeah, I moved away, so I couldn't keep up. I did keep up with my fourth grade teacher because I had to go to three different schools in elementary grades because we were moving. And that fourth grade teacher I did contact because she got me into reading. I didn't like reading. I didn't want to do it. And she read a story in right after lunch, was reading, oh, it's a popular series. I can't think of it. And I was like, I love to read now. And
Well,
that's where it start opened up for me.
it's very cool, especially if you got to tell the teacher that, because I've been a teacher in
Hmm.
another life. And it was so nice when students stayed in touch, so that she was the inspiration behind you
Yeah.
storytelling. And her one story, you remember, that's incredible as a fourth grader. So
Yeah.
you rate,
I've had students contact me. I have two students that live in the Asheville area that contacted me, and one is near where I taught in the near Statesville in North Carolina. She just contacted me about maybe 7 months ago. So it's fun to hear from my students too.
have any of
Uh,
your students become storytellers or teachers?
not that I know of. No, neither one of them did that contacted me from in town. The one lives in Asheville, as I said, but no. And we've talked about me coming because they didn't know I became a storyteller and coming to their business to share stories, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. But
So
yeah.
talk about the fact then you became a storyteller after a career in education. What was there anything that led you to become a storyteller or any one incident where you just woke up and said you want to be a storyteller?
I think it was in me since I was little. I mean, I would tell stories to my dolls. And even in high school, I realized when I would study for a test, I stood in front of my mirror in my bedroom and I would like teach the information. And that's how I studied for tests. But there was a problem with that because I would make it into a story as I'm looking at myself in the mirror. And it helped me learn that part. But to do that for all this subject matter I needed to learn, I didn't always do so well. But that process was in me throughout my life. I just realized that. I don't think I would tell friends, oh, I stand in front of the mirror and teach the information to this body of imaginary people. And
It's,
that's how I worked. Just as part of me, I guess.
it's a great concept. Let me ask you that. So you did that when you were a student. Do you now do that as a storyteller? Do you tell a story to imaginary people before you tell the story?
Oh yeah, I live in the mountains, like I said, and I'm looking out my doors and I see just a bunch of trees. That's who I tell stories to work on the stories. You have, I just heard from another teller, the more you tell, and you learn your stories that way. Some people write everything out.
Right.
I write notes and draw pictures when I work on a story. And some important words I want to make sure I say might be next to the picture. And then I go outside and I sometimes carry my page with me when I'm first learning, but eventually I just go out and I tell stories to the trees.
Do you tell them to
And they
just
listen. They listen. I know they are.
incidentally? Do you still have any of those dolls? Do you tell them those stories to the dolls? The dolls you had as a kid, do you still
I
have
did
them?
as a child.
Okay,
Well, I no, I don't. But when during the pandemic, I have because I taught kindergarten for 13 years, that was the longest time frame. I had a collection of different little doll things, stuffed animals, and we did morning talk in the morning, and we would pass it to each child, and it was a duck. I still have that duck. And so sometimes during the pandemic, I played games with them. So we would hide them in the house, or we'd put them in the bedroom and move them around, and then with my partner, and then we try to figure out, well, what is it doing? The other person had to guess, what is it doing? It was just one of those things we did during the pandemic. But I did something that I loved having, and that was I forget what I called it, but we would pass the duck around, stuffed duck around to each child, and they could pass and not say anything, or they would share one thing, and that's how I started my classes, even when I went to third grade. I think that's important. It gives every child a chance. And I had one student who never said anything, just passed it on probably till January. And then one day she said, my dog, I think it was about a pet, I can't remember. And I'm like in awe. She finally said something. Now she talked with me, but not to the whole group like that. So I think it's an important part of teaching
Yeah, I remember
to
the
have that
technique.
kind of
My
thing.
wife had used it. She was a guidance counselor, and I forget what they
Hmm.
call it, a storytelling stick or something like that. They passed it around, and when it was your turn, you had the choice to either tell or to pause. And I forget what they call the
Hmm.
technique, but it's, other people use that as well. Um,
Hmm.
I'm interested
Right.
too. I guess it could be used in storytelling as well. Have you used that at all? Or have you seen it? Passing around something, and each person has to talk that way?
Yeah, I've done it with workshops, and I think I've seen it done elsewhere as well. And I don't know if we passed something around, but everyone had an opportunity and share well, we do that in the circle, in the Asheville Storytelling Circle meeting. We sometimes person who's in charge of the meeting, it's often the president of that circle. He would make a suggestion of what everyone can share, and it might be um, your favorite book right now, or your favorite story as a child. That one was just recent, and so we go around the circle, and each person would share that. So yes, and then we do that all the time when the circle meets uh, once a month in Asheville.
Because I kind of like
Um,
what you're saying. The physical presence of having something in your hand, or kind of indicates that you have the option to pass or not. Talk about
yeah,
that.
I mean, for the children, that was only the person holding it would speak. No one else would interrupt, and so that was a concrete object for them to hold. As adults, we don't pass anything around, but we just go around the circle because we sit in a circle when we start, just
Talk
like
about
Asheville Storytelling Circle.
when you became a storyteller. So that was after your teaching career. And do you remember the very first story you told? The first one you told after you became a teacher?
Oh,
Well, if not the first one.
I had a job. I had a job, and it was with a church group, a group of children, fourth, fifth graders, and they were. Uh, I can't remember what I told. I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
it's not, no, it's not the first
But that
one.
was I remember that first time because I took my drum with me. I decided when I decided to be a storyteller, I thought I need to have a, a, a drum. And so I was living in Statesville. I drove to Asheville to buy a drum. Oh, I can't even think what it's called. I still have it. Um, from Africa, a big drum. And I took it with me with there, and I shared stories. And then I had each child have a turn to play the drum. And one of the girls, she was a natural. I could not believe how she just took to that drum, and I was in awe. So, but then I decided I have a story that I'm not a musician. I never could get the beats down for playing a drum with other groups, but I still have it. So I
How
don't
many,
use it too often anymore.
how many stories do you have at your disposal at this point in time? Ballpark.
Um, I'm not a professional, well, I am a professional storyteller, but I'm not out there doing work all the time. I guess probably about 20, 15 to 20. And that's very low for someone who this is their work that they do all the time. Because I write and do other things, I hike, I'm not a full-time storyteller.
Talk to me
Uh,
though about the writing process. So, in terms of a story, how do you go about writing? Do you start from scratch and just write like every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning till you finish? Or how do you develop a story that you're going to tell?
um, I on a couple occasions I've just started telling a story, and I've never written it down. Uh, but for the most part, I do write it out, and then I start talking about it and talking out loud. When I'm driving, I might talk aloud. I at one time I had a lot of driving I had to do to get to different places where I was working, and I would just talk at the story, and then I think, oh, I want to keep that, and that was a problem when I was driving because I couldn't write it down. But that's what I've done. And then I draw the pictures. When I first started, I was drawing big pictures. I got a big drawing sketchboard and was drawing big pictures of the story of the storyline. But now I just use a notebook page and just draw little figures,
Well, one of
uh,
the
stick figures.
nice things about that, I would imagine, it almost prevents you from memorizing it because all you're looking at are the pictures as opposed to writing out the whole thing word for word. Is
Right. I do not. I sometimes memorize the beginning and the ending, so I have that set. But the middle can move and learn and change and grow and uh, anyway. But
where do
yeah,
you get your ideas for the stories?
wherever it comes from. sometimes I think of something I've done in my life, but I tell a lot of stories that are folk tales and other avenues of story, uh, historical stories. I do Grandma Gatewood. I was asked when, I don't know if you're familiar with
No,
that,
not
who she is.
familiar.
She's the first woman to hike the entire Appalachian Trail by herself in 1955. And a book came out in 2014 about her journey. It was actually a relative of hers who had written the book, decided to write her story because it was quite fascinating. And the library in Franklin, where I live, the librarian asked, because we have hikers coming through in the spring, and she asked, and they have big events at the library and different places in town for this hikers. And she asked if I would do a book review of that book during this time period, and it's in April, mostly March and April. And when I was doing it, I thought, I'd already hiked the trail, and I thought, I think I want to have something about the uh, uh, I want to become her. That's what it came out to be. So I asked them about it. Is that okay? And so I dressed up as her, and for the first 20 minutes, I was her sharing her story, and it was fun. The people loved it, and then I left and came back as myself, and then we talked about the book and her life and her story.
You still
And
do
so
that? You still tell that
I've done
story?
that performance at numerous places, at festivals and gathering places. Yeah. And that's been fun.
Okay, so that's probably fun
And
though to dress up then. Do you dress up as any other
mhm,
characters?
I have in the past, but not recently. So, but I have looked at doing some others as well. There's a lot you can do with storytelling, and you sometimes get overwhelmed with all that you want to do. But I have not done anyone else like I do Grandma Gatewood.
So I imagine
Um,
that that would be fun. In terms of some of the things you do also, so you're now in your spare time, I'll call it, I love it, that not only you retired from teaching, but you're also president of the North Carolina Storytelling Guild and you're a member of the Asheville Storytelling Circle. Do you like heading the organizations? Do you enjoy that part of what you do?
uh, it's a challenge at times. It's there. I want to see the guild do more things, but we just it's just difficult to get everything that I'd like to see us doing. But that's for the future. And but we have a lot of things going on. We have two retreats, one in the spring, a spring workshop at Wild Acres, and then we have another in the winter down at the beach, actually. Fort, oh, what's it called? I'll think of it in a moment, where we have a workshop and bring in other storytellers to present it. And then we have the Cary Festival, which is in the first weekend of November, the first Friday and Saturday. It's November 6th and 7th this year. So it's been growing. We've brought on a lot more members into the group, and it's fun to see. I'm trying to connect with members of the guild, uh, and anyway, it's been fun.
And so now
Uh,
each of
I do
these,
want to make sure we. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry. You want to make sure what?
That at the story parlor coming up, that we have that event going on as you mentioned, that some of the tellers of that group are also in the guild. Donna Catton Johnson is, and so it's nice to see um, events going on all over the state, storytelling events. And just like the story parlor is putting this one on, as I was in one a few months ago, also there, and it's been exciting to see more and more locations where people are bringing forth storytelling, and we have a lot of it going on in Asheville, different groups, not just the circle. So that's exciting to
Well,
see
since
it
you mentioned that
becoming
upcoming gig,
more
why don't we just talk a
part
little
of
bit about
everyone's
that?
lives.
We can talk about that upcoming gig. That's going to be on what, Saturday, July 19th, and talk about what's going to happen on that show and where it is. I think we've frozen you a little bit. There you are. So you
Well, there's
mentioned,
four of us, and the yes, and a tie. yeah, Donna, and then there's uh, Cindy Berryman Fink and Sarah Wilcox. And so each of us is have looked at the title of the event. It's called Wise Women and Fearless Sisters. And so when I looked at that, I thought, what would I tell? Fearless sisters. That word kind of connected with me. What am I fearless about? And then, of course, wise women, wisdom. And so I had looked forward to going, and then we had some cancellations. And so now I'm sharing a story, and I'm actually sharing one from my Pacific Crest Trail hike, and a little bit from my Appalachian Trail hike. So, and I know someone else is sharing a story connected to um, when she was, oh, what did she do? She was, oh, a telegraph. She did, she walked out, or she told telegraphs to people. I forget. After you have to come and see, and so you can see I'm looking at my notes to remember how she worded it. Um, uh, Anyway, I can't find it right at the moment. But it was when you go to the door and you tell a telegraph, that kind of thing. I'm curious what it is.
Well, remember they had singing
Pardon me?
singing telegrams? Remember they had singing telegrams
Yes,
at one
yes.
time.
That's what I think it was, singing, or a combination of singing and sharing a telegraph. Yeah, a telegram.
Yeah, you don't see
So
that.
that will be fun. And
You don't see that
hmm?
anymore. Singing telegram. The
Yeah.
that would be a fun thing to do. So you have this show coming up. Talk about you have some other gigs coming up as well after this one, right? What else is coming up in the future?
Right. Mainly they're involved with my book, but because my book is about my hike, the Appalachian Trail with my friend Lonnie Bush, were the performances, or the book signing and all of that. It also will have me sharing stories from the trail, because the book, when we finished the trail, I thought, oh, I don't have any stories. And then they started coming up and I started flowing. I thought, oh my goodness. And so I've written a book about our hike, and it includes all these different little events that happen that have become stories. Uh, and so it's a lot of fun.
So how long
Anyway,
did that hike take you? How long did it
the
take?
book, writing it,
No, the hike itself.
the
When you
hike, the hike. Well, we went for 4 months, from the beginning of August to December, August, September, October, November. Well, actually 5 months. And then we hiked southbound. And then we were in uh, Virginia, and we had to get off the trail for an event, because we were getting with family. It was early before Christmas, but before around the 17th of December. And we saw signs that there was snow coming. And that particular day, we got back to Asheville, where we were staying with my friend's daughter, and we had 12 inches of snow that night. And that winter, it was in 2009, it continued to snow over and over. And so it was snowing, and we had snowstorms in Virginia and South constantly. So we decided to go back and finish the trail in the next fall, because we thought about going in once the February and March, once the storms calmed down, but we decided we like hiking in the fall and into the winter. So we returned. So it was about 7 months to finish the whole thing, to do the whole trail. Seven
funny,
and a half.
you mentioned that. I remember it well because we moved to Asheville in 2009. We moved here because it was supposed to be such beautiful weather, and it was all that snow that one time, that winter in 2009. I remember it well. There was a lot of
Yes.
snow. So
Yeah.
it took several months
So
to
yeah,
complete
I'm
the
sorry.
trail.
Go ahead.
No, so you were when you were hiking, so you were going straight through to take breaks, or you just went straight through?
No, straight through. Yeah. We did have to get off for a wedding for a few days, but then we went right back. So yeah, from August 29th till December 17th, we were on the trail, except for the wedding when we were off for a few days. But when you're hiking, you do get off the trail for take 0 days, as we call them, where you just stay in a motel in town and eat.
I'm saying
You eat a lot.
that was very adventurous. Had you ever done that before? Hike?
No, no. I had not even, well, and I should say when I was in sixth grade, I was a Girl Scout. And our Girl Scout leaders were taking us camping. And I was so excited. I wanted to go out and camp and hike. And they, I thought I'd be in a tent. I'd never been that, did that. And then they had us in a big building on cots. I was so disappointed. And so it took me quite a few years to when I finally, by mistake, moved to Franklin. It wasn't planned, but it just happened. Um, and then I discovered the Appalachian Trail. Um, so it's all meant to be, but it did not plan it.
Tell me if you
Um,
would, what's the other big trail that people hike overseas? It's the one
mm,
everybody uh, to go like six
uh,
months it takes. You know what I'm talking about? Name's escaping me. Where
where is it?
it overseas somewhere. It's in
Oh,
Spain.
yes, yes, in Spain.
Yeah,
I always forget the name of it.
I'm looking
That
at it.
one, yeah,
Yeah,
that one is where you more or less you don't camp out.
right.
We slept in our tent all the time when we were on the trail, whereas they move from one town, one little host, not a hostel, but a little place where you can spend some time and drink some wine and have plenty of food and a place to sleep. And then you go out and hike the next day to the next place. That's how that trail is. I can't think of it,
I
what
have it,
it's
I think
called.
here. Camino de Santiago, the French
Yes,
way.
Santiago Trail. Yes.
Is that something, do you ever want to do that?
I want to backpack in Europe and go on trails. But see, that trail isn't what I like. I love being out in the woods for days on end. The longest we were on the trail was 10 days.
Right.
And that, and we didn't go to a town or anything. We just had all our food and continued. So, and we did that in Virginia. So that's what appeals to me.
Okay. Talk then about the fact then you had all of a sudden you're doing storytelling, you're doing teaching. What was the idea behind the book? Had you ever written a book before?
No, no, I did not. But I kept a journal on the trail. And and so, but something happened on our hike that because I had decided to finish the trail for my cousin's daughter, who in 1990 she hiked southbound. That's why we hike southbound because we don't like hiking in the hot summer months. And I knew of Molly LaRue is her name. Um, she had hiked um, southbound with her partner, Jeff Hood. And that was 1990. And unfortunately, they were murdered in a shelter in Pennsylvania. Trail with my friend Lonnie and I remembered her and I thought, hey, why don't we hike it south? Then we don't have to worry about hiking in the hot summer months. And then I had the idea as we were planning and getting everything ready. I thought, I'm going to finish it for her. And that prompted some things to happen on our hike that I could not believe. I'm sorry. That I couldn't believe that that could happen. And I don't want to go into detail because that's too involved, but that's why I wrote the book because it pertained right back to Molly and Jeff. And there were other things that happened on our hike. So there's a line that I gave you that starts the book. I can read that. This true story of two Appalachian Trail southbound hikes, one the adventure of a lifetime, the other ending in tragedy, and how they came together 20 years apart.
So
And
in terms of writing the
that's
book,
my
then
book.
in terms of writing the book, how long did it take you?
And I'm sorry, how
And
long
how long did it
in
take you?
writing it? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't answer that, did I? Like I told you, I had the journal, and then it took probably 5 years. I
Oh,
knew I wanted to write it, but I just didn't know how. And during the pandemic, I thought, okay, I can't go anywhere. I'm going to really put this together. And that's when it came together. And then it was just published in April. Part of my problem was I was in contact with Molly's dad, my uncle, my cousin, but I couldn't get in contact with Jeff's mom, and I just recently was able to do that. So that's what was my finishing point of what I needed to have to have the book complete.
so that's your first book. Do you have a second book in mind now, or will there be another one?
Uh, I I wrote a children's book that I haven't, it's not published uh, from the PCT hike, the Pacific Crest Trail. And I have a novel, and that's just a fiction. And so they're the two next projects I have, along with all my storytelling. So
So
I'm
you're in the
busy.
process of writing that novel, or you finished it already? The novel? And I think we may have lost
Um,
Nancy. There you are.
we're cutting out again. Say that again. You're
I'm
cutting
sorry.
out
So
on.
you finished you
Um,
finished the novel, or it's in the process of being finished? The novel.
no, no, it's finished and published. I have it right here.
Okay, very nice.
It's called Unsheltered, and that's a photo of me. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it
Photo of
now. Yeah.
me in the crossing the river in Maine.
So
Uh,
now, out of all the
yeah, I
stuff
finally was able to finish it.
out of all the stuff you've done, so teacher, you've storyteller, you've now in charge of these organizations, a writer. What's your favorite thing? Your favorite thing? And we may
My
have lost.
favorite. Um, Boy, I love being out in the woods. I love hiking. Uh, but I love telling stories too. It's hard. And I love writing. It's challenging at times, especially when I get stuck with where I want to go with something. But uh, I haven't been out for a hike for a while because it's been too warm. I don't like hiking in the heat, and neither does my partner. And so I'm missing it. Uh, and I guess that's all.
Okay, Nancy, before we lose you, I think we're having some technical difficulties. Let me just ask you again then, if folks want to get in touch with you for a couple of things. One, in terms of finding about Nancy Reader, do you have a website or do you have a page people can
Yes,
go to? And that's
yes.
how do you find them?
NancyReader.com. And my book is available on Amazon. It's in paperback, hardback, as well as large print. It's also available at BAM as well as Bar
Okay.
uh, Barnes and Noble, and there's other sources too.
And,
So
and if
that
they go
is available.
if they go
Go
to
ahead.
nancyreader.com, will you also find out
Yes.
about upcoming speaking gigs and find out about some of these organizations you're involved in?
Now I haven't included that on my website, and that's an important thing to do.
Okay.
I will get that going. I'm on Facebook, and I'm not a big Facebook entry, putting something on each day, but I do feel that I'm getting involved with other things going on, and I want to include them. So I think that's something I will be doing on Facebook,
Okay.
so that people know what's going on
And as you
with me.
mentioned, I think it'd be great if you included it on the website so if people want to find out about you, they can find out the books, but they can also find out your speaking gigs, including the one at the 19th. And the last
Right.
question, after that, do you have any other presentations lined up officially yet? Do you know of?
Uh, I'm in Highlands, North Carolina, on next Wednesday at noon to 1:30. I'm going to be sharing stories from the trail and have books for people if they'd like to buy one. And then there's also a gig going on August 1st here in Franklin. It's a library event where there's numerous artists of different types. I'll be telling some stories from the trail and selling my books, and that's it. That's it. I'm doing that. Different people are going to be speaking at different times. I don't know exactly what time I will be, but it's for half an hour that I'll be sharing stories from the trail that are in the book. So I'm so busy with that right now. And then, of course, at the story parlor, I'll be sharing stories, beginning with a story from the AT and then ending with a story from the Pacific Crest Trail. And that's Sunday, October, or where did October come from? July 19th with at 6:30 in the evening. Doors open at 6. And that's with my friends Sarah and Donna and um, and oh, I don't know the other. I don't ever remember her name. And Cindy.
Okay.
And we look forward to having people come and uh, hear our stories.
Well, I'd like to thank you
And
for
it's called Wise Women and Fearless Sisters.
I'd like to thank you for being my guest on this edition of the Blaine's World podcast.
Hmm.
I'd also like to thank my producer, Kim Jones. And one of these days, we'll actually
Thank you.
speak not only on Zoom, but we'll actually bump into each other in person. That'd be great. But thank you
Yes,
much.
I like that idea. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Likewise.